Hello everyone and welcome to Theme Park Worldwide, where it's time to continue building Primrose Forest here in Planet Coaster 2. Really pleased that you're all enjoying the series so far. I love reading through all of your comments and name suggestions and ideas. It's great keeping this series interactive, so I just want to say thank you so much for all of your support and everyone that takes the time to write a comment on the videos and give them a big thumbs up. Really do appreciate it. It takes a long time to build in this game and to get great results, but you know what? I am loving it so far. And yeah, we're going to continue on building here in episode 3. Now with this here, as you can see, I'm starting to build a major water ride. I spoke about this now in the past couple of episodes, my plans for this, and it's going to be quite a large ride, featuring outdoor sections, some heavy landscaping and some dark ride scenes as well. Now it's going to have like a vertical lift hill, turntables and all these other different elements, because in Planet Coaster you can get them now here, which is great. And I'm using this kind of larger flume ride. Instead of just a standard log flume, we're using the one with the bigger boats where two passengers sit side by side. Very similar and inspired heavily from Splash Mountain at the Disney parks. Of course, that's rethemed into Tiana's Bio Adventure now. But we're kind of taking Splash Mountain with a little bit of inspiration for this. Along with that, Valhalla at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. That's going to help me inspire this ride. And also Chiapas at Phantasialand in Germany. Also a brilliant water ride, one of my favourites out there. So I'm putting kind of all them three together to create one massive ride here, which is going to be great. Now, with this being such a large ride and taking up quite a bit of this bottom corner, I just wanted to kind of put a provisional layout in first, quite a basic layout, and then add in the elements and things as we're going along. Now, I just wanted to make sure really that the main signature piece, which is going to be this big finale drop, fits perfect where I want it in the area, because I want the pathway to curve round here, as you can see at the bottom right. So guests are looking straight at this big drop, and it's just really impressive. It's kind of the last thing guests will see in this land before they continue further into the park, but also the first things guests would see if they've gone round the other way and they're coming back through into this land. So yeah, I wanted this big impressive drop, but also I wanted to make sure we had room for dark ride scenes, turntables, vertical lifts and all that jazz. So I'm just making sure that this was in the right place for it. Love the boats though on these. They look great, nice and realistic, and obviously you get a good idea on how this is going to be. Like, it's going to be quite a large ride featuring multiple drops and special elements, special effects like fire, and obviously continuing on with the Viking theme as well. Yeah, it's going to progress really nicely, so you're going to be able to see it throughout this episode, and it's that big of a project now. It's going to span into episode 4 as well. Originally I was planning on building it all in one episode, but I got quite carried away with adding more theme in, more landscaping. I added a flat ride and things in as well, so it's kind of, you know, taken longer than I was anticipating, but that's fine. Like, you get the best results in this game if you don't rush things. I'd rather span it out over 2 episodes, because also I'm going to be building another restaurant, a big restaurant down in this part as well, because obviously we've got the outdoor kind of food court that I built back in episode 1. But I want to make sure we've got a large restaurant. It's going to be multi-level, and that's also going to fit down in this area too. So yeah, just adding the boats on there, just to get a bit of a gist for how they look. Really like the boats actually for this larger flume ride. Of course you can still get a standard log flume in Planet Coaster 2, but I think it's nicer working with this. It's also higher capacity, and I like thinking about that in my park. So yeah, that's looking good. Just change the colours just so it's a bit nicer to work with, because obviously it's not going to be a bright blue trough with all the supports and everything like that all blue. I just made it like a darker brown colour for now, just so it's nicer to work with, and also gives me a bit of an idea on the overall look and aesthetic of it. There's a bit of a bug there you can see on the drop. Luckily that seems to be fixed with the bugs update that I did whilst I was actually filming this episode. So yeah, I did an update and it seemed like it was fixed later on, which is great. Now I wanted another flat ride in this area to bring the total of 5 rides to this area. I thought, let's go with a top spin just here, a Huss top spin. 2 reasons. One, because I thought it fits into that spot nicely. And secondly, obviously Alton Towers have just put in their new Huss top spin over the past few days. And yeah, that's gone into Forbidden Valley. Had a close-up look at that in person the other day on the car park. And it was great to see it. So make sure you check out that video if you haven't already. It's been online for a few days here on the channel. And yeah, it was nice to just get up close to it in pieces. Never seen a new top spin, a suspended top spin like that close up in bits before, so that was quite cool to see. So yeah, I thought we'll add one into this park too. But yeah, check out that video if you haven't already seen it. this was cool. So as you know, I've been having a few issues with pathways. I know a lot of people have. It's been taking some getting used to. I've been doing a bit of practicing with it. And I used this line tool to create that plaza just there, and it was actually really easy. So obviously, you know, doing a plaza like that was not impossible before, but it was harder. That was a lot easier now to actually build a big plaza. So I'll probably use that line drawing tool quite a bit more. It's not going to be quite as good with, like, you know, doing curved pathways and things, I don't think. But when it comes to doing plazas, it was actually really good. So yeah, I decided to use that there. Put like a big like octagon in the middle, which will be like a planter with some rocks, maybe a big tree in there. And that turned out pretty good, to be honest. So yeah, I was quite happy with that. Queue line, I'm trying not to do too much in terms of cattle pen queues, really, because I just don't like them in theme parks. I like it to be immersive themed environments, and I like to portray that in my parks. So yeah, we're trying to think of the queue line and have it longer, but not too much cattle pen around here. With this here, building up on the landscaping, the good thing is with this kind of corner that I was building in the biome itself, there was already some like rocks and raised up terrain, so this worked out quite nice, actually building the big finale drop and just expanding out on that, because we're right in the corner of the edge now where you can build in the game here, because obviously you can't build in this whole landscape. Anyone that plays Planet Coaster will know there's actually like a faint white line around the boundary of the park. This is kind of like in the bottom left corner now, so I just wanted to make sure that you know, I was utilising the landscape, and that looked really good with the finale drop just there. Right then, after building the actual ride system and provisionally putting some of the elements in, started to work on the building here. And like I say, I do change quite a few of the elements. Like, I'd not put in any of the turntables or anything here yet. I just wanted to get a feel for the size of it, mainly getting the station in position, where the dark ride scenes are going to be, and that big finale drop as well. So yeah, that's what I decided to do. And then I thought, yeah, I'll build up the first like large show scene, because I didn't want this whole ride to be inside. Like, obviously Valhalla at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, 90% of it's indoors. You've just got literally the two bits either side of the station that are outside. Used to have the turntable that was outside. That's been closed in now after the refit a couple of years ago. But I wanted to have that kind of feel of, you know, Chapas at Fantasyland. As you look at it and think, wow, this is beautiful. I wanted that, but also I wanted some dark ride and show scenes as well. So that's kind of why I went for this style. Checking the sight lines there. So you can see I went down to guest level at the main entrance. I didn't want this show building to be huge that it looked out of place, because we've created this beautiful Viking village. The last thing I want to do is put this big massive building there that just doesn't look right. So just checking really that I was quite clever when I designed it. The wooden coaster, my intention was the lift of the wooden coaster was going to block in the show building behind, and obviously that's how it's turned out, which I'm quite pleased about. This will be the second dark ride scene out of two that we're having here, possibly three. I haven't quite decided yet. But yeah, this will be the second of the two scenes that we've got so far. Again, this is going to change quite a bit. I was debating whether to have a standard lift hill here or a vertical lift. I stuck with the standard lift for now, but as the ride was progressing and I started adding the theme in, I decided to put a vertical lift in, and you'll see that later on. I also wanted to utilise some of the cool things that you know, the Frontier have developed for Planet Coaster 2, things like the turntables and things as well. I knew that I was going to add turntables in, but I didn't know if I was going to do an actual backwards drop or not. I was debating just having, you know, a backwards outdoor section and then a turntable, then going up the lift. But I decided to go for a full-on backwards drop, as you'll see a little bit later in the episode. So yeah, just adding, working on the building all the way around this here. The good thing is, obviously, we've got the top spin there as well. That's going to have the backdrop of this building and the nice terrain that we're working on just behind it as well, which should work out pretty cool. Yeah, just adding some more terrain, and just that's the thing with this. It's all about layers in Planet Coaster 2. I speak about that a lot. I did do in original Planet Coaster. It's about adding them layers and really building things up. And you know, if you get fed up of working on one section, coming back to it later I find easier, and just gradually working on it and seeing how the park progresses. But now I'm really pleased with how this is looking so far. I really am. So yeah, just continue on working on the actual show building itself here now before working on the dark ride scenes that are going to go inside there. I find it a lot easier kind of working on the dark ride scenes before I put my main roof into place. I just find that it works a lot better for me. Obviously, people have got different ways of doing things, and that's always the good thing with something like Planet Coaster. You can do it how you want to do it and what makes it easiest for you, you know. But yeah, I'm not going to be putting the roof on until I've done each of them different scenes, or at least I'll try not to put the roof on unless I have to for the piece of theming that I'm added into place. I've just put them big wooden gates in there, as you can see. They're going to be on an activated trigger sequence. That's the great thing from original Planet Coaster that's come over, trigger sequencing. So this basically means that you can set like a certain point on a ride, such as a roller coaster, a water ride like this, or a dark ride, and then when the boat or train goes over, it'll activate that effect for you for a certain amount of time. So yeah, I'll be able to sync the gates up. You can see I'm just doing that there now. So trigger sequence 1, I'm moving that along, connecting to the gates, and then you can see the actual ride sequence. And there's not going to be loads what's going to need sequencing in this ride, mostly like doors and that sort of thing. Things like special effects, others run all the time and just repeating themselves, kind of like on Pirates of the Caribbean. You know, effects don't really go off waiting for a boat, they just kind of stay rolling. There are other rides such as like Valhalla at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, certain things are only activated when a boat comes round, you know, so just different ways of how rides operate. But yeah, with the trigger sequence you can do it your way, you can do it how you want to, which I think is really cool. Now, obviously with this, I'm going to be in a name and a storyline. I'm going to be revealing the names that I've picked for the wooden coaster and the Viking longship at the end of this episode, and I'll show you POVs from them as well, so stay tuned for that. But I am going to need a name for this as well, and a storyline. In terms of the story though, with this one, obviously it's going to relate a lot to the theming that I'm putting in. You see these big rocks that I've got just here, they're going to turn evil. That's part of the story that I want. Obviously we've got a Viking theme going on, so that kind of Norse mythology, but also to do with these rocks that are on display. And as you're going to see, it's all going to kind of go wrong. You're starting off in this first scene, you're seeing these rocks at the side on the big crates, and then as you're going through, things are going to take a bit of a darker turn when you turn this corner and head down the first drop on this Flume ride. So yeah, just adding in lots of smaller details here now. Obviously, I love just adding in random stuff. The main things, you know, that I needed for the story in here are the big rock formations. Everything else is just added in just to fill the space, really, because no one likes a dark ride where there's, you know, just not really much going on and just a couple of big props. It's nice to have smaller little things as well, so you can kind of turn to the left and right and think, oh, you've got that there, you've got this here. You know, I really like that in a theme park, so obviously I wanted to add that in to my theme park that I'm creating here. So yeah, I'm just starting to work on the roof now. That first scene is pretty much done, and then put the roof on. Like I said, I just find it so much easier building a dark ride or scenes for a dark ride without the roof on. I know some people prefer having the roof on straight away, but for me, I just like it like this. I just find it a lot easier. Something that I am really happy about though now with Planet Coaster 2 compared to the original is that you don't need to change it into night mode to see the dark ride in its dark ride form. Before you had to, because it would just stay kind of bright inside. Now, as soon as you go into a building, it's automatically dark, which is a big improvement with the game, so I'm very happy about that. Here I'm adding in some more of them rocks, and obviously, you know, guests are going to be coming along the boats here and thinking, oh, it's all a bit mysterious, what's going on with these rocks kind of thing. And that's kind of what I wanted before it takes a darker, more evil turn when we go around the corner just here. So yeah, just continuing on with the fence just here. I've used a lot of this wooden kind of fencing around the area, so I thought it'd just add to the general aesthetic, adding a bit more inside this dark ride scene that we've got just here as well. So we've got a boat just there, and yeah, just kind of looking at what I'm going to be doing with the bottom scene. Obviously, you're going to kind of crash down and into this fire effect, and I still think it's one of the best effects out there on Valhalla at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, where you drop down into the fire. Obviously, that's Viking themed as well, so that's inspired me a little bit with this one. Like I say, a few rides have inspired this attraction, so kind of put all them together for this water ride. Putting some flame torches just on the side there. They're nice because they'll give a lot of lighting off. Once we've got the roof in, we'll see that in more detail. But I don't think we're going to need any more show lighting in there. The torches should create just a nice ambience that I want inside that scene. And again, the focus is on the rocks just there, but it's just added some barrels, crates, ropes, all that kind of stuff around, just the smaller things. And that is where parks like Europa Park, Phantasialand, and the Disney parks do really well. Universal never really used to do it that much in their attractions, but they do now, which I'm pleased about. You know, just like, and other parks are starting to get there now. We're seeing that at parks in Europe, and even a little bit in the UK at like Paulton's Park. They do it, which is good. I mean, Paulton's Park do the best theme in my opinion in the UK anyway, and especially what they've got coming up. I'm excited. They've got the Vikings area, so yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that turns out. Will it look anything like this one? But so yeah, here we go. This looks good inside there now with the flame torches, creating that bit of lighting that we want inside there. So this is going to be like the final scene before that first drop. Obviously this first drop's fully enclosed inside, which already adds to the excitement of the ride, I feel. Guests will see this building from the outside. They're going to see the lift hill going up into it, and they're going to know that something's going to happen in there, but they don't know exactly what, which really adds to the overall suspense of this ride. So maybe some of these crates and things that I'm putting in would be storing things to do with the rock, the stone, this evil stone. And this is the point where on the audio, things will take a bit of a darker turn. You know that something, you know, you've come to visit and see this stone, but then things have took a bit of a darker turn, and then you're going to drop down into this inferno at the bottom just there. Not Nemesis Inferno, just an inferno. So yeah, just adding more little things in here. You can use all sorts, like these are supposed to be planters to put around trees and stuff, but you know, in a dart ride scene like this, they work great just to put at the side as like random props and little bits of scenery there too. Putting some more of the flame torches in, and yeah, that scene's pretty much done, so we're going to put a roof on that shortly, which will be nice. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how that's come together. Obviously this show building isn't too tall either. I didn't want anything that's too intrusive on the lovely little cute Viking village that we've built. Yeah, I didn't want that. Obviously we've created, I wanted a dart ride, but also I didn't want the building to be too high at all, but also I needed to raise it up enough so we could have an indoor drop. So I had to be really careful about how high this was. Luckily, when I designed the wooden coaster, it was all in mind because I knew there was going to be a show building behind it, which was going to be for this ride. So yeah, as you'll see from when I keep moving down to guest level, gives you a bit of an idea how it's not kind of ruining the sightlines. Sightlines are so important to create an immersive themed area in my opinion. Right then, I mentioned at the start of the episode that I literally just put in the trough as like a kind of basic layout. What I'm doing here now is adding in the cool elements, the cool features. You could do this right at the start. If I'm building a coaster, I'll always build it as it's going to be and then add the theme in and building after. With this being partially indoors, partially outside, I wanted to start building the building and some of the terrain and the lake and things first, and then add some of the elements in when I had a bit of a feel for it. So what we're doing here now is adding this turntable in. It's going to spin to the left-hand side. You're going to see one of the rocks. You're going to see it all on fire. And then, of course, you're going to be pushed out backwards, out of the building, kind of like, whoo, you've escaped kind of thing. And that's the feel that we're going with here. Then you're going to go into this scene where originally this was just going to be backwards. I was going to put another turntable in here now on ground level, and then you were going to go up a standard lift hill and forward drop. But I thought, no, let's make it a bit more exciting. Let's add in a backwards drop here. So we've got like things like the turntables. We've now got a vertical lift here instead. And we're going to add a backwards drop in, then a turntable, and then you'll go up the final lift hill before going around the corner and dropping down the big finale, Splash Mountain inspired drop. And I say Splash inspired, you'll see why later in the episode, but let's just say there's a lot of rock work going in around there, which will look great. So here we go, just testing it now, making sure that everything works how I wanted it to. That's the beauty with the game, you know, you can speed it up and, you know, we can really see how this works. Boat's coming down onto the turntable, that will spin and then put us back in the right direction. And obviously we're going to have theming and things around. It'll all tie in with the storyline as to why you're on a turntable. One of my favourite elements on a water ride, this goes to Chapas at Phantasialand. You can't do these in the game unfortunately, so I definitely have added one of these in. You kind of come down and then it moves across like sideways. You come down a backwards drop, go sideways and then up forward lift. That's cool, but obviously it's not in the game, but you have got turntables where you can do the same thing really. But it's just really cool that you go like across on its side on Chapas. This is me just finalising the layout now. Obviously I've got the main elements in that I wanted. We're round to the drop and that is the actual ride system finished now. Really happy with that. Don't think I'll be making any changes to it in the next episode either. So I'm happy with how the ride system all came together. So yeah, that's just a bit of an explanation as to what was going on just there. But no, really pleased with it. I'm going to leave you a little bit of theme park music over the next few minutes or so, and then I'll come back to you shortly and carry on talking about what I'm doing here with this water ride. But no, it's looking good so far. So you've just seen there over the past few minutes how I've been working on the tower which goes around the vertical lift hill and just making sure that this looks right. I didn't want to lose that kind of quaint village feel that we had until you kind of come round the corner. From a distance, I wanted to make sure this didn't look too big and out of place, because I just don't think that would have worked. You know, we created this beautiful Viking village entrance, putting in this massive ride, you know, it could really take away from it, and that's why I wanted to make sure it wasn't all indoors as well, and have some outdoor show scenes and things as well going on along with the dark ride elements. But overall I think that it turned out really good. That's why I built the wooden coaster there. We built a bit of a berm behind it, put some trees on so it wouldn't look too big and out of place until you kind of come round past the Viking swinging ship and into this section, which has got the water ride and of course the top spin as well. So yeah, just adding some smaller little finishing touches onto that there. Obviously I'm going to be doing some quite detailed dark ride scenes here, but I just wanted to get the exterior of the building done around that, mainly because it's hard to know with the vertical lift hill where to place scenery items, because, you know, I don't normally like putting roofs on buildings until I've done the inside. With this I kind of needed to first, because you've got this vertical lift, you've got workings to it. I need to make sure that it's not touching the walls and the boats, you know, got enough room to move and all that kind of stuff as well, really, with this. But yeah, it's looking good. Pleased with how that's turned out so far. There you go. See what I mean? We've got to make sure there's enough space for that to come up. Adding in all the walls around the back just there, and we don't need to worry about putting scenery behind that, because all the guests are going to be facing forwards. When you get up to the top as well, we're having a big opening. You may have seen I've been working on that as well over the past few minutes. With that opening, it means you're just going to get a nice view looking out over the park. Haven't decided if I'm going to put some doors on there yet, or just leave it open. I might add a trigger sequence on there yet. I haven't quite decided. But that is what's going to happen at that point. Obviously here, just getting all that right around the lift mechanism, really. Just want to make sure that, you know, it can move clearly. I have to change a few of these bits and mess around with it quite a lot just to get this right, because it was kind of clipping on the back just there, and yeah, I had to do quite a few edits just to get that right. But obviously blocking that in looks great. I didn't want to have this big ugly vertical lift system out on show, because I just don't think they look very nice, to be honest. Not for this style of ride anyway, not in a themed park like this. It was a standard like amusement park, fair enough, like Energylandia, you know, where theming isn't really at the forefront, or at least it wasn't at the first part of the park. It is with some of the newer things, but down at the front of the park, you know, they built the speed water coaster, this big like tower, which would look so out of place in many parks. Get away with it at Energylandia, because that whole front section's not particularly themed. It's more of an amusement park. The themed areas are really at the back. Interesting place, isn't it, Energylandia? I do love it though, but yeah, with theming it's quite a funny one. Some bits just don't look finished and things. It's like, you know, in Planet Coaster, if you just give up putting theming in, that's kind of the vibe it gives off sometimes. This, I tell you what though, like from a distance now, you're starting to get a good feel for how this is going to look with the dark ride scenes, the outdoor areas. A lot of mystery with this ride. And that means, you know, guests are going to walk into this area and look at it and can't quite work out, you know, what's where. Where's the boat going forwards? Where's it going backwards? They're not going to know that there's a turntable in there. They're going to suspect that there's a tall element inside this tower here, you know, with it being so tall. But obviously you're not going to directly know what it is other than just seeing the boat at the top. So it's just adding that mystery, adding that suspense. But there you go, from a distance, look at the sight lines. Like that lift hill was built in the perfect spot, so it just didn't ruin that feel. And that's exactly what I wanted to create with this. There's no point in building something so beautiful and then putting in something like what looks out of place or a little bit ugly next to it. It all needs to flow, it all needs to look great. Sight lines, like I say, are really important in a theme park, in my opinion. Anyway, just starting to work on the terrain a little bit here now, just putting in some of the trees. I do like that new tool where you can just place loads of trees in one go instead of having to individually place them all. But yeah, I think that's coming together nicely along the back just there now. You can see the show building a lot clearer, and just overall I think that's yeah, looking pretty nice around there. Just starting to get the scaling of the trees right as well. I mentioned in the last episode, just want to start scaling trees a lot more. Yes, it takes more time, but it just looks nicer if you're doing that. You can change the scale there, which is a good little thing you can do, and obviously you can use your keyboard for that as well. You don't have to use the mouse, but I just found it easy using the mouse, to be honest. I think it's C, isn't it, on the keyboard to do that. That's the thing, isn't it, when you're not looking at your keyboard all the time, you forget what's what. You just play about in this game and just have fun with it. That's the best thing to do. I don't take it too seriously. I don't see myself as a serious builder. I just like to have fun and enjoy it and put enjoyable episodes together for you all to watch as well. Lots of hashtag rock work going in around here, just making sure we're adding that all the way around this lake, which is going to look quite nice, just to kind of add to the overall feel of this round here too. But yeah, I'm really starting to get the feel for it now, that I can start working on the next dark ride scene, which is going to be on this turntable. So I mentioned how we've got this story about this kind of rock, this evil kind of rock that kind of comes alive. This is where it's going to be the climax moment, if you like. You're going to kind of come into here, spin round there, look at all these rocks. There's going to be some special effects. There's going to be some steam, smoke, fire, loud pumping audio will be in here, really bassy pumping audio, and then you're going to be kind of pushed out and you're going to escape from the building, and you're going to think, whew, everything's okay, but then the story will develop even more, because then you're going to come onto this vertical lift hill and he's going to kind of take hold of you, this rock, you know, and take you up. That's the idea I've got anyway. It might sound a bit silly to some, but I think it's a good story, and obviously I'd like you all to build on it, and I'm going to need a name for it and the storyline. So yeah, get them suggestions coming in down below in the comments, a name and building on the storyline for this Viking super flume ride that we're building here. And obviously I'll be finishing this in the next episode and adding in the new 2-story restaurant down here too. We built a lovely food court down near the entrance of the park, but it was all outside. We needed a nice big indoor facility here, big indoor restaurant. Some more toilets down here as well are going to be needed. So yeah, that's all going to come together nicely. Right, so yeah, just going to start working on the front section of the building here, covering in the landing pool there. Obviously you want to make sure we've got a landing pool, so all the water doesn't just go everywhere at this scene. I am going to be doing something special with one of the other landing pools though, so stay tuned for that. That'll probably be in the next episode when I come round to getting onto that. But yeah, with the rocks just here, adding them around, blocking it in from the outside, but also from the inside, that looks good as well. And yeah, just placing lots of different layers and things around. It always amazes me when I get to this point in a project, because it starts off with just nothing, doesn't it? Like you look at it, it's just empty land, empty grass. You put your ride system in, you start with the terrain and adding water and buildings, and it just starts to come together. And for me, I think I get the best results building little bits at a time, instead of just thinking, right, I'm going to put in a little bit of trough and then heavily theme it, landscaping it, and that bit's done. Because I know some people would build it like that, and that's perfectly fine. It's whatever you find easiest, but I find it so much easier doing it all kind of one step at a time, and really building it up throughout, and then I'll come around it all and add finishing touches. It's like even what we've built in the past few episodes so far, you know, none of it's like fully complete. I'll go back and add little details, and that's why I always appreciate all the suggestions, like, you know, like the Viking longships I'll go back to and, you know, add shields on and things like that. You know, I'll always read the comments, and I love all of these suggestions as well. So this is the station area, obviously here. We're putting in a building around that. It wants to be enclosed. I don't really understand parks that have open stations, to be honest, especially when, you know, with the climate that they're in. Here in the UK, like stations like Stealth and Rita, really poorly designed in my opinion. Should definitely have proper roofs on for the staff, and also just for the overall wear and tear. Like the train isn't in the maintenance shed, it's just like out there, isn't it, in the station, getting damaged and more, you know, with the weather and stuff. So I'd much rather have covered over stations. I think it works out a lot better. I think all parks would do that, but it all comes down to budgets and cost, doesn't it, really, with that one. So what I'm doing here is just adding some windows and some little bits of detail on the huge tower. I think we're going to have some plants and things growing up this as well, but initially I was just kind of getting the gist of how I want this to look. Obviously we've got the turntable. I don't want the turntable to be visible at all for guests outside who are looking at this, because it kind of ruins the ride. I want it to be a bit of a suspense, and so you don't really see that element going on. And that's another thing with Chapas, isn't it? I mean, I love Chapas. It's one of my favourite rides out there. But there's a couple of like the trick elements that you can actually see before you get on it from the queue line, and I guess it adds to it, seeing it. But I also like mystery and suspense, you know, with a ride, not giving the game away straight away. So yeah, here you've noticed I've not added like a normal landing pool at the backwards drop just there, because I'm going to do something with fountains and things around there. It's going to be a little bit different. Probably going to get onto that in the next episode. Not going to have time, I don't think, for it in this one, because obviously, yeah, there's a lot more to this ride than I was initially thinking. That's the thing for me, I'm building stuff and then I have more ideas. I think, let's do this, let's do that, let's add more in, and then hours and hours pass. A lot of people say, how long does it take you to do these? You know, you're literally talking 4 or 5 hours per episode, could be longer, could be a little bit less, but normally it's longer just to do them. And then obviously it's screen recording it, editing it, doing the voiceover, putting the music on. You know, out of all the videos we film on the channel, these are the most time consuming. So that's why I really appreciate you know, all of your support and kind words, because a lot of time and effort does go into putting these together for your enjoyment. But the good thing is, you know, it's always stored, isn't it, on my computer and on Steam that I play with, and it's nice just to know that these parks are always here. I spend a lot of time doing it, but they're always going to be here to look back on and enjoy. This will be the entrance to the queue line for this large water ride. Obviously not really got much cattle pen at all in this park. I like meandering queues round and things more than cattle pen. I know some parks can't help it if you're short of space, adding like cattle pen queues, but in my opinion, if you've got the space, don't build them. I think they look quite ugly. I think it's a bit more justifiable inside a building if you're doing like a dark ride one, because you can put walls in and you don't really know it's a cattle pen. But yeah, it's like when we did the queue for the wooden coaster in the last episode. It meanders around this village. You've got viewpoints, nice vistas looking out over the lake, and also you're going to get some views looking out over at the rest of the ride and the area from there. So yeah, I'm going to show you an updated POV of the wooden coaster and the Viking longship at the end of the episode when we get onto the names that I've chosen. So yeah, just adding the lamps in around here, some bins and that sort of thing, and just building up the landscaping. So I'll leave you a little bit more theme park music over the next few minutes, and then I'll be back to you for the final part of the episode, where we're also going to have a good detailed look at what we built before with POVs, and also reveal the names that I've picked for the wooden coaster and the Viking longship. So I've just been working on the exterior of the main show building just there now, adding lots more smaller, finer details to it, and obviously I've made sure that the lift hill is on the outside as well. Originally I was thinking, oh, I'll have the lift hill all covered in too, but I thought, no, let's have the lift hill outside, just to kind of add to the mystery and suspense a little bit, just so that guests are looking at it in the queue line thinking, oh, we are going up here. They're coming out of the building here. There's obviously some sort of drop inside, but they wouldn't know if it's forwards, backwards, or what's happening. Obviously, there's quite a lot of show scenes in there. Some guests might think they're just going in and dropping straight back down, but no, you're going in, going through all this at the top here first, and then you're going to drop down as part of the storyline. Obviously, we've got this evil rock. And obviously things are taking a bit of a turn as we get round here. It's like the rock's kind of coming alive. That's what I'm going for with this one. This looks very Valhalla inspired. We've got like this big boat just here. This is going to have some flame effects and things on, like the boat's all caught fire. You know, like right at the end of Valhalla where you drop down. Got that kind of feel going on. Just wanted to make sure we're blocking in the walls here as well, just to add some smaller bits onto that, just so it looks nice. And if your guests are like looking round and from all different angles, I like to make sure there's at least something there. I like these little lights, so I've added them in as you're coming round into this scene. And then it's working on the main important scene for the storyline here, and that's going to be this turntable. So there's the main rock itself. We're then going to add loads of small ones round, steam, wooden little bits of effects and things like that, just to block all this in and just make it really immersive. So guests are going to get to this point, they're going to have gone through, you know, 3 nice scenes at the top where everything's okay, but it's getting a bit weird. You then got the big drop, the fire in the trough, coming round, seeing the longship, and then into this turntable that's here. So by this point, guests will be thinking, oh, you know, what's going on here? It's all very mysterious, but clearly something's not right, and that'll be portrayed with the audio as well as here too. So yeah, this is like this evil figure. So we've seen like all these different rocks, all these parts of it. This is the first time you're seeing the full figure himself, and there he is. He looks quite happy actually, but we'll make sure that he's on fire and stuff, so he doesn't look very happy. Just adding some little bits around the back there, some of that fencing again. There's so much of it throughout this Vikings area. I just think it ties it together nicely, using a bit in the dark ride scene as well. And obviously you're going to be building some full-on dark rides too. This is more just some smaller dark ride scenes. In the next area, I've got some really cool ideas for a mythology dark ride. There's going to be a large steel coaster, and yeah, lots more coming up, some more flat rides as well. I just think we've got the balance perfect for this entrance opening area to the park. Also, I think building a big water ride, like a bit of a soaker near the front of a park, is a good idea, because a lot of people save them to the end of the day, don't they? So it's right near the exit kind of thing, really. So people will be able to leave after doing this if they want to, on a colder day anyway. That's like me with Valhalla at Blackpool. I'm there, I've got all we change your clothes waiting in the car, do it at the end, straight out because it's near the exit, and then to the car. So that's the thing we really appreciate with Valhalla. It was built right by the exit to the park, which comes in quite handy, to be honest. We're just adding some of them flame effects in now, just so this is looking on point. Got the boat that's on fire, checking it from guest level. And then obviously we've got the main fire scene at the bottom. I was just checking that none of that fire effect was kind of leaking upstairs, if that makes sense, like light leakage. That used to be quite a big issue in original Planet Coaster, so luckily that isn't a problem now with Planet Coaster 2. They've sorted out that quite well. And then this is where you're going to have that huge effect in the water just there. The boat's going to come down, you're going to see it, and it's just going to be terrifying right in front of you. It still scares me to this day, but in an amazement way. I'm like, wow, like this is so cool, having the water with the fire coming out of it and then dropping down into it on Valhalla. Still, no one has done an effect that good on any ride, I don't think. I think that's so impressive, that effect. It's one of the best effects ever. I'm surprised like Disney or Universal have never like done something like that, but no, really like that. So we implemented that here. That's looking really good, all them scenes. Again, I can always come back to it and add little things, and depending on the storyline that you guys, you know, kind of come up with and work with there, what I've said about the rocks and things, that's the only thing to really bear in mind. Look at what I've built here, you know, this kind of rock, the turntables, and then obviously I'll finish it in the next episode, and I can add little bits in that relate to the story if I need to. I think that's why it's worked out better doing this across 2 episodes as well, because any of your suggestions, I can kind of add them in to this as well, which will be great. Anyway, just carrying on with adding some other things. We've got a waterfall effect, so you're going to add that in just here, which would be quite nice. Some misters. This will be like a constant waterfall, not like the one on Valhalla what turns off. This one will stay on, and get you quite wet as you go underneath just here. So you've just gone through the fire thinking, oh, wow, that was amazing, it was warm. Then we're going to really cool you down going under this waterfall effect. Obviously that could be adjusted depending on the time of the year as well. This park is in this lovely forest, you know, so it's not going to have like high temperatures all year. It's got a lot of greenery. It's got more greenery in this park than anything I built, I think, in the original Planet Coaster. I really wanted it to be set in the forest, this park. Hence the name, Primrose Forest. I still love that name. I really like it a lot. And we've got some darker things going on really in this Vikings area, but ultimately, you know, the park's going to have a nice mix of some lighter themes and things going on as well, which should be nice. We're just adding a platform on the outside now of the building. Again, this is just to give it a bit more depth. I don't like just looking at a flat building or a big square building with not much going on. Just giving it some more depth. I think we'll make this look really nice. So yeah, just adding that on. Just also a little bit of cover for the queue line, adding some covers and things where I can do. It's good for the guests, whether it's a hot or a rainy day, but also it just looks nice to the overall aesthetic of that as well. So yeah, up to this point, I've been building this for about 3 and a bit hours. So I'd spent a lot of time on putting this together. And like I say, to get good results in the game, you have to spend a long time doing it, like with Planet Coaster. You can use blueprints and download things and stuff, and that's fine. But if you want to go fully custom and make something personal and what no one else has done, you know, then yeah, it does take a lot of time. A lot of people have been asking, you know, when am I going to open the park, and also will it be available to download on Steam? So to answer the first question, I'm probably going to open the park up for a little bit after I've built the next themed area. Whilst I'm kind of starting work on the water park, might just open the park, limited number, soft opening, just to kind of get people inside it and see how the guests react to it really. And then also I'll probably close the park then for a little bit and then relaunch it and things, reopen it here and there. But yeah, you're not going to have to wait until the end of the series for me to do that. I will open the park after we've built the next area with the mythology theme in. And then in terms of when you're going to be able to download it, much like with my previous parks, it will be at the end of the series is when you're going to be able to download it in the workshop. If you play Planet Coaster 2 yourself, basically you can go on the workshop, you can download items, and people have been saying, oh, put the wooden coaster in or put this in. I'll be waiting until the whole project's done, mainly because, you know, obviously want to keep it nice and unique to the series. Obviously, once it's all done, you can download it, you can add bits, you can remove bits you don't like, and make it, you know, personal touches. But for now, I want to keep it, of course, exclusive to the series. So I'll be waiting until the whole park's complete. I don't know when that's going to be yet. It depends on, you know, what other themes and things come into the game. Obviously, the plan is to build the mythology area next. Then I'm going to be working on the water park, which will kind of act as a second gate to the theme park. So yeah, it all depends on that really with this one. But no, really pleased with how things are looking so far. So on to the final part then of the episode now. Shortly going to be revealing the names that I've picked for the wooden coaster and also the Viking longship. So stay tuned for that coming up. But yeah, firstly, just working on that Splash Mountain inspired finale drop just here. Yeah, lots of rock work you've seen I've put in there over the past couple of minutes. Some more trees and bushes and lots of landscaping that's been going into place around here. But no, very pleased with the overall kind of aesthetic and how that looks. Yeah, just blocked in all like the landing pool there, loads of rocks. I thought with this I'd get a better effect using actual scenery rocks instead of like the ones that you get in the terrain tool. I just thought this would look a lot better, give it a bit more depth to the overall look of it. Added some trees around, and yeah, as you can see, we're kind of coming towards the end of this episode. We're going to move on to the names and stuff shortly, but get your name suggestions coming in for this. The sign's in place. I'm going to need your name suggestions, and of course the storyline for this huge water ride as well. Viking themed, utilising that story with the rocks and the turntables and the vertical lift. What can you come up with? You've all got amazing imaginations. I love reading the comments on these each week. So yeah, get them suggestions coming in. Yeah, just adding a lot more foliage around, and there's still quite a bit more theming to do, including the other dark ride scene and other bits too, and I'll be working on that for you all in the next episode. But yeah, we'll have a bit of an overview just in a second, showing you everything what I've built in this action-packed episode. Obviously this has been like 51 minutes. What you've actually seen here has been hours and hours worth of work. Look at that though, the sight lines look great. It's nice because you've got the hills in the background, and also the forest as well, which really fits. That building's looking good. I think there's a couple more smaller bits to add to it, but still the main basis for that is there, and it's just the surprise element. It's nice because you've got the helix for the wooden coaster as well, and that kind of is around there, and I think that looks really good. Yeah, it's nice. Right then, let's move on to the name and storyline for the wooden roller coaster. Firstly, thanks so much to each and every one of you for your suggestions, but it's Theme Parks Direct with Fjord Fury that gets this one. I think this is fantastic, so thank you so much. Deep within the heart of a Viking village, nestled on the edge of a wild and untamed fjord, lies a legendary tale. The villagers speak of a wooden beast that mirrors the mighty longships their ancestors once sailed. Built by the gods themselves, so the legend goes. It embodies the ferocity of a stormy sea. The story begins when the villagers' bravest warriors angered the Norse god of the sea by taking more than their share of his sacred waters. As punishment, the god unleashed a powerful sea serpent upon their fjord, churning the waters and sinking every ship in its path. Desperate to save their home, the villagers forged a pact with Loki, the trickster god, who promised them salvation for a price. Under Loki's guidance, they built a wooden monstrosity with twisting tracks and roaring descents meant to mimic the serpent's wrath. Loki enchanted it so the ride would steal the screams of those who dared to ride it, feeding the serpent's rage and keeping it bound beneath the fjord. It is said that only the bravest Vikings dare to ride, for the serpent may yet rise again if their courage falters. Would you face the fury, or will the fjord claim you? Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for that one. I think it's a great name. I really do like that. And then, of course, we've got the swinging ship just here as well that I needed a name for. And, yeah, I'd like to say a big thank you to Mirrorball 5443 for Perilous Voyage. I really like this one, and I know that a lot of people were suggesting like Viking names and everything that I really liked, but I just thought Perilous Voyage, it just fitted really well, and kind of, you know, we've gone some darker themes with the wooden coaster here. Let's go with Perilous Voyage. I think it kind of fits with the water and things as well, like something might have gone wrong during the voyage. I didn't really need a storyline for that one, like I say, but Perilous Voyage, fantastic. So I really do appreciate that, so thank you so much. Let's have a little ride on Perilous Voyage, shall we? And yeah, just see it there from the different angles. That's looking out towards the new water ride that we've put in. That's the good thing with like the on-ride camera, isn't it, in this game? You can adjust it and do what you want to with it, really, which is good fun. Hey! And then we're going the other way just there now. Getting a bit of airtime on the swinging ship just here. But yeah, it's nice to have it Viking theme instead of pirates. Don't think I'll be doing a pirates area unless we get a big pirates DLC release, but no, I think that's looking really good. So yeah, thank you for that one. Perilous Voyage. I like that. It just rolls off the tongue, really nice, and it looks the part. Beautiful. Really happy with that flat ride. I've also added in this little building actually as well, where you've got like a staff service area in there, and that follows the same kind of building style as the rest of the little village just there that I've decided to add in, and that looks really nice. Then of course, here it is, Fjord Fury. Hey, let's go and have a front row ride on here to end the episode, shall we? Here we go. So obviously you see all this without the theme in before. Now it's got all the theme in place. You can see the little wooden buildings off to the left hand side, and a very detailed storyline, very long storyline, but you know what, why not? I'll put the stats on again there so you can just see them as we're going round. But again, this ride serves its purpose really for this area. Really nice family attraction, nothing spectacular, just a nice family wooden coaster, old school style, dropping down into the back of the windmill building there. Hey. Yeah, thanks for your tips as well about the smoothing tool. Really do appreciate it. Like I said, I'm not an expert coaster builder in this game. I just have fun with it. I don't take it too seriously, but I'm really pleased with how this turned out. Nice and smooth and enjoyable. But yeah, just having a bit of a mess about really with the smoothing tool and things, isn't it? Just to get it right as well. But there you go, into a bit of helix, helix, helix. Round we come. And into the brake run. Let's just have a few like overlooks of the area just before we bring the episode to a close. It's been a long one, longest one of the series so far. A lot of work's gone into this one, so I hope that you really do appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, give it a big thumbs up if you enjoy watching. I'll be back in the next episode, number 4, where we're going to complete this water ride, do a full ride through, and also build a 2-story Viking restaurant on that final plot of land right there. Which is going to look out over the land, and I'm sure it'll look great. But thanks so much for joining me here on Theme Park Worldwide. It's coming together beautifully. Primrose Forest. I'm glad that you're all enjoying it as much as I am putting this together. It's so much fun. But thanks so much for joining me, and that leaves me with one final thing to say. Get out there and keep on riding. See you later.